Hello everyone, welcome back to another Game of Thrones and A Song of Ice and Fire video. In this video, I will be explaining Game of Thrones Season 1, Episode 2. If you're new to this channel, kindly subscribe for more exclusive updates on the new, upcoming HBO prequel series. Now let's get to it. The episode began at the far end across the narrow sea, with Ser Jorah Mormont comforting a still terrified Daenerys Targaryen and telling her it'll get easier with Khal Drogo and helping her get off her horse on a routine stop to Pentos. At Winterfell, Tyrion Lannister disciplines his nephew Prince Joffrey for refusing to pay his respects to the Starks for Bran's condition before joining the family feast. At the feast, Tyrion discovers a shocking demeanor from his brother, Jaime Lannister, and Queen Cersei when he informs them Bran may survive from the fall. He went as far as getting offended when Jaime Lannister questions his loyalty after Tyrion expressed interest in learning what Bran had to say when he finally woke from the coma. Bran Stark remains in a coma with his mother Catelyn, maintaining a constant vigil at his bedside. The Queen's visit was a surprise to Catelyn, though at that time she had no idea who was behind, but her shock was visible. Ned's appointment as Hand of the King prompts the various groups to depart from Winterfell. Jon Snow leaves to join the Night's Watch on the Wall. Before he leaves, he gives his half-sister Arya a small, custom-made sword, which she ecstatically names Needle, a nod to her disdain for the sewing needles her sister Sansa prefers. His farewell with Bran is heartfelt, but Catelyn coldly throws him out of the room, her resentment for Ned's bastard sons still raw. Ned Stark also says an emotional goodbye to Jon, telling him, "You are a Stark. You might not have my name, but you have my blood," and promises to tell him about his mother the next time they meet. Now let me explain why Jon Snow wanted to join the Night Watch. Jon later revealed he found it troubling staying with his father, but was never counted amongst his children, and couldn't pass on the bastard name Snow to his offspring. On the Kingsroad, King Robert informed his friend and the new Hand of the King, Ned Stark, of a report from the Narrow Sea. According to the informant, the Targaryen girl is getting married to a Dothraki horse lord, which, if allowed to stand, could bring future rebellions, and advises an end.
There's a war coming, Ned.
Life.
I don't know when,
Ned
I don't know who we'll be
Stark was
fighting.
reluctant on the idea of
It's
murdering
coming.
another child, perhaps haunted by the death of Elia Martell's children during the rebellion. Let me explain. Elia Martell was the wife of Prince Rhaegar Targaryen, the son and crown prince of King Aerys Targaryen, also known as the Mad King. When Tywin Lannister sacked King's Landing during the rebellion, Elia's kid were butchered by Sir Gregor Clegane, known as the Mountain. At Winterfell, Robb Stark is forced to deal with a diversionary fire elsewhere in the castle. A mysterious assassin enters Bran's room and attempts to slit his throat. A fierce Catelyn fights him off with her bare hands, and just as the assassin is about to overpower her, Bran's direwolf, Summer, intervenes and kills the attacker. This event, along with a clue of a single long blonde hair she finds in the tower from which Bran fell, convinces Catelyn that the Lannisters are behind the attack, fearing what Bran might reveal if he wakes. She decides to travel in secret to King's Landing to warn Ned, leaving Robb to rule Winterfell in her stead. As the royal party travels south, the fragile peace between the Starks and Lannisters begins to shatter. The party stops at the inn at the crossroads where a fateful encounter occurs. Prince Joffrey and Sansa came across Arya practicing sword fighting with Micah, the butcher's son. Joffrey takes offense and sadistically attacks Micah with his real sword, Lion's Tooth. When Arya defends her friend, Joffrey turns his sword on her. Arya's direwolf, Nymeria, attacks Joffrey to save her, biting his arm. Arya disarms Joffrey by throwing his sword into the river and flees. That night, King Robert is forced to mediate between his wife and his new hand. Joffrey lies about the incident, and when Sansa is asked to corroborate the story, she claims she doesn't remember trying to please everyone but satisfying no one. Queen Cersei demands that the direwolf be punished. Since Nymeria has fled after Arya threw rocks to scare her away, Cersei spitefully demands that Sansa's own tame direwolf lady be killed instead. King Robert acquiesces, and a horrified Ned Stark insists on carrying out the execution himself, rather than let the royal headsman do it, stating, "The wolf is of the north. She deserves better than a butcher." To compound the tragedy, Sandor, the Hound, Clegane, arrives with the corpse of Micah, the butcher's boy, whom he has killed on Joffrey's orders. Jon Snow and Tyrion Lannister travel north together, and Jon begins to learn hard truths about the life he has chosen. On the road, Tyrion shatters Jon's romanticized vision of the Night's Watch. He explains that the Watch is no longer a noble order of knights, but is largely composed of criminals, rapers, and thieves who were given a choice between taking the black or execution. He dismisses the threats beyond the wall as grumkins and snarks. Tyrion also shares his personal philosophy with Jon. As a dwarf, he explains, he could not rely on physical prowess and instead chose to wear his armor in his mind, sharpening his intellect through reading to serve his family. The party eventually reaches the wall, and both Jon and Tyrion are awed by its immense icy scale. Daenerys Targaryen's storyline focuses on her difficult transition into the life of a Dothraki Khaleesi and her first steps towards seizing her own freedom. Daenerys is struggling immensely with the harsh Dothraki nomadic lifestyle. She is saddle-sore, sick of the food, and frightened of her new husband, Khal Drogo. Their sexual encounters are aggressive and one-sided, leaving her in visible distress. Daenerys confides in one of her handmaidens, Doria, who was trained as a bed slave. Doria advises her that she is not a slave and should not make love like one, encouraging her to take an active role. That night, Daenerys initiates a more tender and consensual encounter with Drogo, using the Dothraki language to guide him. This marks a significant turning point in their relationship, transforming it from one of duty and subjugation to one of mutual respect and intimacy. The episode ends with two powerful contrasting images. In the south, Ned Stark solemnly carries out the unjust execution of Sansa's direwolf lady. Simultaneously, hundreds of miles away in Winterfell, Bran Stark suddenly opens his eyes, awakening from his coma. This final moment underscores the theme of interconnected fates and the escalating consequences that will define the series. Let me know what you think down below. Kindly like, comment, and subscribe to this channel for more exclusive videos. Thanks for watching and see you soon.